Hello and welcome back, my beautiful listeners, to another amazing podcast on Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. And today I have a beautiful guest with me, Marty. Welcome to our show.
Eva, thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here and speaking with you.
Thank you so much, and the pleasure is all mine. And we've been together on another podcast, so I thought, why not go for another podcast and talk about some other very interesting topic. And Marty, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, please.
Well, I am a Canadian living in Texas, so that's a bit of a transition there. But actually, right now, Eva, I am a divorce coach. I work with women, and I help women from the idea of, do I really want to stay in this relationship, or is it time for me to get out, to actually going through the divorce decree and then helping get kind of started out on their life as a new single person after the divorce. I don't do the dating stuff. I don't do the life coaching stuff. I really focus in on that divorce area. My background is, oh my gosh, I've done so many things, and I've been really fortunate in having opportunities to do things. I've been a teacher. I was a teacher for many years in Canada, behavior consultant. I am a credentialed distinguished mediator. I've been a domestic violence client advocate, working with women to get out of violent and abusive relationships. And I've had my own business since in the States here since 2002. Executive coaching, leadership coaching, mediation, and now divorce coaching.
Wow. Looks like you have a lot of expertise in many areas. So thank you for sharing. So welcome once again. And tell us, please, what inspired you to specialize in helping women navigate high conflict and high asset divorces?
That's kind of a long story. So I'm going to give you the short version of it. When I was doing first of all, when I was working with women that were trying to get out of abusive relationships, a lot of times people think of abusive relationships as people maybe that don't have have limited financial means, or really struggle with having financial ability to get out of the relationship. And what I found is abuse can happen across any of the socioeconomic areas. So it can happen in very poor families, can also happen in extremely wealthy families. And what I found is that within those women that were trying to do that, there's sort of this sense of, there is a sense that they don't have any power, that they are not going to be successful, that they're not going to be able to get out of the relationship. And a lot of that has to do with the tactics the abuser uses, just beating you down emotionally, not even talking about physical stuff, but just keeping you so that you don't feel like you have any abilities, everything's your fault and you're wrong. And I found that when I moved into the executive coaching, a lot of those issues were still present. Now, when women were in CEO roles or executive roles, they didn't talk about it publicly, but when we were in our coaching sessions, that kind of stuff would start coming out again. That sense of, I'm not good enough, my relationship, my marriage is falling apart, my kids are mad at me. All of those personal things started to come out. So I did the training to become a divorce coach, and it just really resonated with me. And I really felt that this is where I can provide the most support for my clients. And so that's why I decided to kind of go into this very narrow area of coaching.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Can you explain to us what a divorce transition coach does and how it is different from traditional therapy or counseling?
Great question. So first of all, divorce coaching, any kind of coaching, should never be therapy. And if your coach is saying that they are treating a particular mental health issue, get another coach, please, because they do not know what they're talking about. Even therapists that are coaches are very clear that they're not doing therapy when they're coaching. And the easiest way to think of it, I think, is therapy is designed like a treatment for an issue that you are experiencing that typically has to do with issues in your past. So a lot of talk therapy, you go back, you talk about how issues have impacted you over your life, and then you look at how can you make some changes. Coaching is based on what's actually happening right now for you in the present, and how can you change that in a way that works for you moving forward. So it's not a treatment, it's a way of a mindset shift, a thought transformation, and also a practical step-by-step way to support you in making those changes. I hope that
Okay.
was clear. Did that make sense?
No, that totally makes sense. Very well explained. So tell us, what are some common challenges women face during high conflict divorces, and how do you help them overcome these challenges?
Well, I think the first challenge that most women face in the high conflict divorce is how do they get out of the relationship without antagonizing the partner further. So I would like to clarify, Eva, that for purposes of this conversation, I'm talking about high conflict partners that are verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. I'm not talking about domestic violence where there's physical abuse. If there's physical abuse, call 911 or work with a domestic violence shelter to make sure you're safe, because there's a real concern about people's physical safety and even their life when they're trying to leave those kind of relationships. However, when there's financial, emotional, mental abuse going on, it's still a dangerous time to leave, but it's not some it's more about your sense of self and your ability to make the right choices for yourself. And as the divorce coach, what I do is help you strategically plan, number one, how you're going to protect your finances, because the first thing high conflict relationships typically include is somebody making a grab for the finances. And so locking up the bank accounts, locking up the credit cards, that kind of stuff. So how can you strategically plan to exit the marriage with the financial assets that you're entitled to and that you need to set up a new life wherever that may be? And then also, how do you hire the right professionals? How do you make sure the professionals are aware of the situation that you're facing? And then also, how do you strategically plan now for dealing with all the stuff? I'm going to use that word, all the stuff that your ex is going to pull on you during the divorce, like filing frivolous filing frivolous motions, showing up at your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe calling you and using the the I can't live without you, or even threatening to kill themselves if you don't come home. Like setting those boundaries so that you're really clear and don't get trapped into coming back into a toxic and unhealthy relationship.
Definitely. And I understand and hope our listeners understand that there is a lot of different avenues here. But our intention on this podcast is to let you know that there are resources, there are coaches out there to help you through these I would say difficult shifts in life. And because they do happen. I myself have gone through a divorce. Not I'm not proud of it. It does happen sometimes. We don't plan for it, but things sometimes just don't go the way we want. And like Marty said, you just never know what, for me, when I went through my divorce, and I'll just talk a little bit. I went into divorce and it's like, you know what, I want to end this as um easy as possible without having too much putting too much strain on both parties, because after all, I still care. It just didn't work out. In my divorce, it wasn't so hard. We didn't have a lot of things to split up, like houses, things, and kids and all that. But at the same time, still, I wanted to be civil. I wanted to be as easy as possible. Now, did did he did end up pulling a stunt, because even though we said, oh yeah, we'll just sign the papers, I still couldn't find him. And I did have to go that route where I had to hire professional to go find him to sign the papers. So yeah, sometimes things happen when you're like least expected. So yeah, it's good to be in awareness. It's good to have that coach to be like, because sometimes when you're going through stuff, you can be blindsided or you may forget about something. So that's why it is important to have that support when you're going through these challenges time. So here we're just touching the topic briefly on the short podcast, but it's mainly to let you know that help is always there for people. So I thought I'll share a little bit about my journey. Hope you don't mind. So
Oh, no,
what
I appreciated that. Thank you.
you're welcome. So what motivated you to found Positive Communication Systems LLC, and what unique services do you offer through this organization? I know you touched a little bit, but if you'd like to add anything else.
Y- I do. I mean, one of the things I do is because I am a mediator, so I've probably done a couple of thousand family and divorce mediations since the mid 1990s. And so one of the things that I do that I think is a little bit unique is that I'm able to help my clients prepare for mediation, like really understand what the process is going to look like, what the mediator is going to do, what, how to plan, how to prevent yourself from getting emotionally caught up in the mediation, how to know, are you making a good settlement, or are you walking out the door with stuff that you left on the table that you really need to have. So I think I'm able to do that. And I think the other thing is I have a great network of other professionals, certified divorce financial analysts, certified divorce lenders, mortgage professionals that work in the divorce area. So I'm able to make a lot of referrals to my clients and say, hey, and I know we're talking about a lot of people, Eva, and sometimes I see people say, I don't have any money to hire these professionals. A lot of these professionals do these consultations for free. So there's no cost to you, like having a realtor come and evaluate your home. Don't take your spouse's word that the house is going to sell for X amount of money. If the house is part of the negotiation, get your own realtor to come in there and give you an appraisal so that you have a clear understanding. Sometimes it's just little things like that that make all the difference in feeling confident when you go into the mediation that you know exactly what's happening.
Exactly. And it is very important, for sure. So, and of course, Marty's an expert here on that. So if you are going through this process in life, don't feel that you can't reach out. Take that phone call, talk to Marty, see if there's anything she can do for you. And of course, beyond. So tell us, Marty, you have a podcast, the D Shift, Redefining the Divorce and Beyond, and Real Divorce Talks. Um, what can listeners expect to learn from your podcast?
I am so lucky that I've had so many amazing people on my podcast. I know we've recorded one for you. It hasn't come out yet, but I know that's going to be an amazing one. I have had experts, I've had attorneys, I've had financial planners, I've had mediators, I've had healers, I've had women's menopause experts come on and talk about all of these aspects of life that get impacted by the divorce, how to manage stress, how to eat healthy, like all kinds of things like that. And so really the podcast is designed to just be a, a way to look at all the different areas of caring for yourself through the divorce and also taking care of your kids during the divorce if you're divorcing with children. So no matter what you're looking for, I think you can probably find an expert somewhere. I think I've got 120 episodes out now. So you can browse through them and I'm sure you can find something, a quick 20-minute listen just to give you some ideas, some tips, and some strategies.
Yeah, and for that, we will post the links for these podcasts in this YouTube video. So as a distinguished mediator, what are some key strategies you use to facilitate positive communication and resolution between divorcing parties? If you can mention a few.
Um, First of all, I think one of the nice things about the mediator is you are a neutral person in the room. So you're not on her side, you're not on his side. You are neutral in the room. And my training is specifically on how to reduce conflict. So even the words that you're saying, when you get people across the table that are, I said this, no, you didn't. I said this, no, you didn't. The mediator can step in and say, it seems like there's a difference between what was heard. what did you really mean to say? And so you say something as simple as that, it gets people off of the conflict and into thinking about, how can I make this a more productive conversation? And so there's lots of techniques that mediators use. Open-ended questions. I know that's what you've been using all the way through the podcast here, letting people explain what they're feeling. Because typically, yes, we're upset about money, but it's not money, it's what money represents to us. It's that security, it's that safety. So how can we address those emotional issues that are sometimes preventing us from solving the real problem that's at the table? So mediators use all those kind of techniques.
Wow, awesome. So how can women maintain their own well-being, their emotional and mental well-being during the challenging time of high conflict divorce?
First and foremost is make sure that you are setting time aside for yourself every day, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes. Because I know you're busy, you got kids, you're running a business, you're doing everything, you're dealing with the divorce, whatever it may be. Set at least 10 or 15 minutes aside for yourself. And it could be to just sit out, on your deck or on your balcony or even in your living room and enjoy a nice cup of coffee and just watch the sunrise, or maybe go for a walk outside. I'm a big fan of being out in nature. I think that really helps calm us and restore our bodies and our emotions and our nervous systems. Maybe it's doing yoga for 15 minutes. I started yoga when I was 55. You can start yoga whenever you want to start yoga. Meditation, journaling, mindfulness, all of those things, they're not just fluffy, nice things to do. They're really, really critical to keeping our body and our nervous system aligned so that we do not get so stressed out we start getting sick when we're dealing with something like a divorce.
Awesome. Those are great tips, by the way. And you're right, you can never start yoga too late. And it's so good for the body on so many different levels. So at least that's one of the things I started doing too, not too long ago. And of course, meditating, journaling, it is actually very important. I used to never think how important it was until I started doing it, because it gets you to accomplish your goals and other things much faster, I believe, because you're more focused. You know how at school you have to read something, then you have to do the essays, so you got to focus, it's pretty much the same thing when it comes to journaling, meditating. I believe it realigns you and sets you in the right mood, for the most
Definitely.
part. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, what are some practical steps women can take to redefine their lives and thrive after divorce?
I think the first thing is, when you're in the divorce, I know this is a big ask, and a lot of times people are like, I can't do this, but you can. Think about what you want your life to look like after the divorce. So a year from now, a year from the time you're divorced, where do you want to be living? What do you want your house to look like? Where do you want to be located? What do you want to be doing? Who's in your life? What job do you have? The more specific you can create that vision, the better you understand what you need from the divorce to be able to make that happen. So for example, if you live I'm in Texas, and in the middle of Texas, and my dream place to live is on a beach in Florida and in a beautiful condo overlooking the ocean, I need to start planning in my divorce for, how am I going to financially be able to get to Florida and buy that? So what does that look like for you? And the more that you have that clear vision, the more that you're going to be able to make the right decisions. And that whole, I know you're a mindset coach, and that's so important, right? Is to know where you want to be before you start making choices and decisions. And I really think that empowers you and helps you get through the divorce and feel good about the decisions you make.
Exactly. Very well said. And how do your skills as an executive and leadership coach translate into your work with women going through divorce?
I think one of the things that I learned in my executive and leadership coaching is really setting those goals, the importance of setting goals. And I know people have kind of said they don't like the idea of SMART goals, which are, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Some people don't like that term, but I think you do need to have specific goals, like I talked about, whether you call it a vision or a goal. And then you have to break it down into little steps that you're going to take. Like, you don't try to get from, Vancouver to Toronto without planning your stops along the way. So I always tell people, to tell the women I work with, let's start looking at your big goals, but then let's break it down into manageable milestones along the way. And then how are you going to celebrate those things when you achieve them? Because you've got to be able to keep yourself motivated, because divorce can be a long haul. Like, for some people, it's 2 or 3 or 4 years to get the divorce. And then there may be legal actions that happen after the divorce. That's not the end of the story for a lot of high conflict
Yeah.
people. So how can we start building in those celebrations for you? And I think that's where executive coaching really supports, the divorce coaching side.
Yes. And when we talk about celebrations here, I mean, that's just to say that, yes, you had to go through this, but now it's, almost done or done. And, you got to celebrate still life, because, life doesn't end there just because divorce ends. You still, like, even for me, like, yeah, my divorce ended, but that doesn't mean I'm, dead inside. I will continue to live my life, maybe find a partner that I am truly aligned with, and things like that. So you just take it one step at a time. If you need to build that ladder of belief that you can, once again, be where you want to be in life. And sometimes things happen, I've known people that lose everything through divorce. But you had it once before, I'm sure you can get it again. It's just a belief, and ladder of beliefs you have to have, and trust yourself and everything else. And that's why we have people like yourself and others who specialize in these situations. So Marty's a great example. She has many, many years of experience under her belt. So tell us, and I know what you're gonna say here. What are your future plans for Positive Communication Systems, LLC, and your podcast? And I know there's another special thing you're working on. So please tell us.
Well, right now, I just want to continue expanding my podcast. I want to continue bringing in amazing experts. And that's my podcast is really my passion. I love it. I enjoy talking to the guests, and I really enjoy being able to provide some insight, education, motivation, inspiration, even maybe to the people that are listening. My second passion project that I have to talk about is I'm working on a compilation book with some amazing women who are also co-authoring it with me. And I invite anybody who has a divorce story where they have gone through the divorce and then, like you just said, built on that foundation and created the life they want to lead. If you want to co-author with us, I would welcome you to reach out and contact me, and I'll send you the information. But that book is really right now what my focus is. So it's going to be real stories of women who went through divorce, and then just a couple of paragraphs about the divorce, and then the rest of the chapter about how did they make that shift? How did they go from kind of that dark space right after the divorce to living the life they always wanted to live, whether it's travel, whether it's starting a business, whether it's volunteering or having a better relationship with your kids. How did you make that positive transformation happen? So that is my focus for the next couple of months here right now.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm so happy. I have seen the book cover that you're working on. It is truly amazing and empowering. So we will post all the links in this video, how to get in touch with Marty, to read a little bit more about Action Takers Publishing, because that's who we go through. There is so much more that comes with being an author and sharing your story. It opens other doors and possibilities, opportunities out there. So it's all there for you. Just have to reach out, connect with us, and We'll tell you all the good stuff. So
And
now,
that's how we met. That's how we met,
yes, exactly.
was through an authors meeting through them.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we have monthly authors meeting. Actually, there's one coming up this Sunday. If you're interested to join us, they are free and open to the public. So if you like to learn about being an author, we have other themes too, not just divorce and all that. I'm personally working on one that's got to do with travel. We just finished writing and are excited to publish another book called The Ripple Effect of Impact. There's always something inspiring to get your hands on. And if you need to just clear your head and not think about divorce and want to be an author and write about something else, we have that too. So there's 101 ways to go here. But
Exactly.
the name of my podcast is Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. Marty, what would setting intention in the morning mean for you? Do you think it's important? Set that right intention. What is your take on this?
Well, I love the title of your podcast, Rise and Thrive. I really love that.
Thank you.
That's so energetic. Like it's not just like, oh, it's a podcast, but you just feel like you want to do it. I am a big believer in setting intentions. So I do my yoga first thing in the morning. And, part of yoga is always when you get on the mat, you set an intention for the day. And again, it's just another way to keep that vision of what you want to accomplish for the day, how you want to feel, how you want to experience life. And then once you've got that kind of internalized, the universe provides you those opportunities throughout the day. So when you're looking for them, you see them. If you're worried about what's not going to happen, then you don't see the opportunities. So I love the idea of rising, thriving, and setting those intentions to have the best day you can have.
Exactly. No matter what, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us here on this amazing episode of Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. It was an honor to have you, Marty. Any last words of wisdom you'd like to share before we go?
I don't think so, but thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk with you.
Well, thank you so much as well. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day and have an amazing the rest of the week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.